DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag.
It's some sort of a conspiracy theory. Don't you love that expression? So let me understand this. When the evidence identifies the Democrat mafia as a money laundering system, as a policy creator, promises of nonsense and utopia, and then the money is stolen by the NGOs with their spouses linked to it, with their moron kids, with their crack-smoking degenerate sons, used as investments in China or Ukraine. And I identify it as exactly what it is and correlate it with the massive explosion in debt since this country was dumb enough to hire a bust-out with no resume, no achievements, a fraud who lived his entire life under a different name, the alias name of Barack Hussein Obama. And I link it to the Chicago Mafia, and the Mafia member is over. And we point out how the backdoor nationalization of the healthcare has destroyed healthcare, driven down life expectancy and costs up. Somehow I'm the conspiracy theorist? No. I have stumbled onto your conspiracy, number one. And number two, your entire philosophy is, in fact, a conspiracy. It doesn't live in reality. There is no real evidence. There's just promises and wishes and hopes. And the whole time, everything gets worse. You see, that's the irony of the American Democrat failure gangster pig, as they always stay on offense, never to answer any real questions, and then they throw accusations, which is why I could start today in a plethora of different ways, and everybody likes the usual topics. I don't do that. Odds are, if you've been hearing it all day, you will not hear it when I start my show, because the evidence of who we're dealing with is in such abundance. All you must do is pick them as they speak. Minutes ago, Tim Kaine. Now, here is a lawyer that never really was a lawyer. He just got a license to steal. That's when you pass the bar. In fact, he graduated cum laude. And one thing that's impressive about this ugly Democrat half man, he was shocked as a lawyer graduating cum laude that rights in America do not come from government. He thought he and his cohorts of corruption, the vestibules of fraud and failure and skullduggery, known as politicians, give me my rights. You're wrong, Tim, which is why I can call you, Barack Obama, that dimwit in diapers, that election thief fraud, and all of you rat Democrats that have been stealing elections since the dawn of time. Exactly what you are, pigs. And there isn't jack you can do about it except sit there while I prove you to be a fraud that you are.
Was the 2024 presidential election rigged?
Senator, President Trump won the 2024 presidential election.
Yeah, folks, how about that? So he was asked.
Tim, do you know why he won it? Do you know why? President Trump, it was too big to rig. He overwhelmed the schematic that the government, the CIA, the crooked rat drug-dealing cartel, had orchestrated with Dominion, with Smartmatic, all the election fraud boxes, fraud systems, fraud not even machines, that steal the election by a multitude of different arrays, least of which is not that they can be hacked at any time, and votes are shifted and the rest of it. And it was so bad because you ran, arguably, not just the worst candidate, the most unqualified dimwit fraud that this country has ever even thought would run. The office tramp, some call Kamala Harris, versus what I prefer, Willie Brown's Gumad, side broad, Tuesdays and Fridays. Don't wear panties, Kamala Harris.
I've predicted just about everything that has happened with this administration.
And you say I told you so?
I don't say I told you so. That's kind of obnoxious. I don't say that. But the reality is,
he's a rogue, all right.
He's a rogue, all right, notorious for his flamboyant lifestyle. Flashy clothes, fancy parties, fine women, and fast cars.
You should from now on address me as the mayor.
If ever a man and a municipality were made for each other, it is this man, this place.
And that's Willie Brown, the version of Mike Madigan, only he had a little bit more style, a little bit more panache. He liked to parade his side broad around rather than keep her in Ed Burke's closet. That's the difference between Willie Brown, Mike Madigan, and Ed Burke. And his side broad was Kamala Harris. For decades, in the office of the AG in San Francisco, the state prosecutor, making twice what her boss was making as a new hire because she was stooping Willie Brown. I find that to be a scandal. Am I a conspiracy theorist? The documentation is there. She made twice as much. He bought her a BMW and a Mercedes back when that was rare because Willie Brown was stealing money like every other California Democrat. Stealing money in the name of utopian promises they could never deliver. Whether it was homelessness, whether it was health care for illegal aliens, no matter what it was, it's the same spiel that gets these frauds elected to this day. And in the meantime, Tim Kaine is casting aspersions upon we the people who are not dumb enough to buy that Barack Obama was going to lower your fracking insurance payments, morons, or that he was going to make things better, or that the economy would be better and he would go through it line by line by line. If you bought anything that imbecile swindler fraud bust-out said, you're the conspiracy theorist. You believed all of his conspiracies. He was going to make everything better, and you bought it hook, line, and sinker, you morons.
Twice was the 2020 presidential election rigged, and he said President Biden was certified to be the winner. He wouldn't answer the question. Saying President Biden was certified as the winner of that election is like saying today is Tuesday, June 16. I mean, it's a fact. But he wouldn't acknowledge that President Biden won that race. Now, there's only one of two reasons, Mr. Duncan. You have either fallen victim to the conspiracy mindset that says that election was rigged, and if you're a conspiracy theorist, you shouldn't be let anywhere near the position.
Then let me ask you this, Tim. Where were the 81 million people when the whore ran? Where were the 81 million that you said? Where were they? And the answer is you couldn't steal fast enough. You couldn't make it work. Even with your fraud systems, you couldn't make it work. And the systems had been frauded for decades. And you know who exposed that? Harry Hursty, who was hired by the DNC after Donald Trump shocked the world and beat the Duchess of Chafington because even a dog won't go near Hillary Clinton when he's hungry.
Somebody sent me the tape from a machine in California, and it reported 550 votes with 270 voters. That's the kind of thing we're seeing when we can get the actual document.
How's that math work, Tim? But see, you couldn't allow the people to get the evidence, so you erased it, you stifled it, you hired your fraud judges. And all of this makes us the conspiracy theorists? I don't think so, Tim. Because nobody on the so-called right side of the country were ever dumb enough to buy the conspiracy that Barack Obama was anything other than what he always was, a liar, a fraud, an enigma with no resume, who never did anything but fail spectacularly.
Former President Obama says
it is doubtful that any agreement that arises is going to be significantly different or a significant improvement from.
Well, here's some of the improvements, stupid. Never trust somebody with an ugly wife. Here's some of the differences. For instance, he's killed the upper echelon of the theocracy, and we don't know how many, but at least 2 layers deep. You enriched the Ayatollah asshat. Where is he now? He's burning in hell, working the glory hole next to Madeleine Albright and his son, which has yet to be produced. So all of the theocrats, that fraud, hate-mongering cult that pretends to be a country, he killed enough of them to get at least some movement. Now, to your point, Barack, and I will agree with you, it wouldn't matter if they sign an agreement. It's as good as Charmin, just like when you signed an agreement, or any other rat-thieving Democrat, when you do not have character, when you're dumb enough to be in a cult, to give Barack Obama some credit, it's as worth as much as your agreement was worth. Nothing.
The deal that we had in the first place.
But Vice President J.D. Vance pushing back.
If you go back to the Obama JCPOA, what it did is it took an Iranian nuclear program that it accelerated, and it basically bribed the Iranians to stop that program. We're in a totally different position here.
Meantime, top Israeli officials are blasting the deal. Prime Minister Netanyahu is adamant about keeping troops in Lebanon, despite President Trump saying the deal would end hostilities on all fronts. Karen Hua, ABC News, Washington.
You know what's funny, too, is in the face of their own reality, they have the audacity to pretend that they have some virtue, some position, some point, when all the Democrat Party has, and all they have, are lies, failure, death, and bankruptcy.
They have a criminal record. They had a sex trafficking conviction.
Don't have criminal records. So the majority of people that ICE is rounding up and taking out of their homes from their families, they're separating families. They're using children as bait. But the majority are not criminals.
But can I respond?
Wrong. Well, here's what this dizzy bimbo, whose grandfather was in the slave trade business. I love that. She sits next to the white supremacist husband. She believes all husbands are whites, should be white, as they are supreme. Whoopi Goldberg, 3 husbands. Every one of them white as snow. White as Elizabeth Warren. Not quite as high cheekbones. Here is, in CWB, here's a story from today. Drunk, unlicensed, rat, pig, illegal. I added that part. Driver killed Uber passenger returning from a graduation celebration. Young, handsome kid on his way home from a friend's graduation, celebrating. Never made it back to Wheaton after a drunk illegal alien pig with a neck tattoo. Looks like Odd Job from James Bond. Unlicensed driver plowed into his Uber as it sat in traffic on the Eisenhower, known as the Ghetto 500 in my neighborhood, and you do not want to take that son of a gun if you can avoid it at any costs. Benjamin Faraday and 2 friends were in a rideshare like most of the decent kids who have to go to that dung hole to pretend it's decent. And 21-year-old Jose Perez Marin, let's call him moron. Jose Perez, useless, filthy, illegal alien, unlicensed moron, slammed into their car from behind in his GMC Yukon doing 65 miles an hour, killing the young, handsome American with his future all in front of him, just like Gorman, just like Abrams, just like the untold, insane amounts of Americans that are victimized over and over and over again by illegal aliens.
Lindsay, after some back and forth with attorneys, the judge ultimately raised the bond to $1 million each for Samir Ruiz and Rafael Marino. The district attorney present also said the state is looking to press more charges based on new evidence. The DA says a social worker told the Davidson County Sheriff's Office that they were worried about one of their clients who is a Honduran refugee. The 14-year-old reportedly told the social worker that they were staying with people they did not know. And
rapist! Child rapist, illegal alien, another one.
ICE arresting an illegal immigrant accused of raping a child in Virginia. He was initially arrested nearly a year ago, but he was out on the streets because local officials allegedly refused to cooperate with federal.
Because local officials were Democrat scumbags. Ohio!
The 19-year-old is going to sleep in jail tonight after police said he admitted hitting and killing a 68-year-old woman here on Stanley Avenue in Dayton. A car.
North Carolina.
Lindsay, after some back and forth with attorneys, the judge ultimately raised the bond to $1 million each for Samir Ruiz and Rafael Marino. The district attorney present also said the state is looking to press more charges based on new evidence. The DA says a social worker told the Davidson County Sheriff.
Not to mention 400,000 minors trafficked in what you hope is merely sex trafficking, rather the other sick bastard things that Democrats love to do. Right, Podesta and your fat pig brother? When you look at what's happening,
and you look at who's doing the right thing.
The Trump administration coming to the rescue of unaccompanied migrant children abandoned, abused, and exploited after they were trafficked across the southern border under President Biden. The Department of Homeland Security revealing it has located about 146,000 minors so far, most of them in sanctuary cities. And Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche wants to crack down on the human.
You mean to tell me that they would go where they're protected by government? No fracking kidding. And when it comes to anything to do with the Middle East, aside from Barack Obama paying homage to his Muslim roots, how in the world did the American government manage to give $40 million a week to the Taliban, and they still will not stop it? So is the Iran deal as good as it was with Obama? Yeah, and your insurance premiums are going to come down $2,500 a year, you morons. 312-642-5600.
Make money, smoke cigars, and live free on the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
Networks, streaming services, retail chains, and tech giants are all adding plus to their names. But where did the concept originate? We may be biased, but we think these big wigs found their inspiration for plus at Hasseless Mattress. Hasseless showrooms are employee-free. Give your mattress a try with no push.